The Camper and the Cabin by E.H. Amos. I was 30 minutes into a trip on a brand new hallucinogen when there was a knock at my door. I had come out to the wilderness cabin in the middle of the worst blizzard on record for this decade just so I couldn't be bothered. Yet here I was, more alone than I've ever been in my life, and a stranger knocks at the door. I hunkered down on the futon under my blankets, hoping that the man would just go away if I didn't answer. "Hello? If anyone's in there?" The stranger's panic-stricken voice yelled through the door. "Do not open this door for anyone, ever. Not even me." His voice cracked. "If I come back begging to be let in, don't you dare open that door. If you do, you will die." He pounded on the door harder. "You hear me? Die!" With that, he fled away into the Canadian wilderness. Despite the warm comfort of heated air, I felt a chill run down my spine. It was a great prank, sure, but who would have bothered to come way out here just to tease me? I didn't tell anyone I was coming here. Was my Snapchat location on? I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. No signals of any kind. I looked around the room. The blizzard raged outside, the wind whistling and howling, but all the curtains had been pulled shut. The circular room was built more like a hut than anything else, with a high ceiling and all the furnishings in the single room. The living room had a futon and a dresser, while the kitchen was next to a shower. It wasn't cramped, just minimalist. A perfect getaway for a glamping trip. I was just thinking that the drugs had made me hallucinate the man before he came back. He knocked on the door in the same pattern as before. "Hello? If anyone's in there!" The stranger's panic-stricken voice yelled through the door, in the exact same cadence and tone as last time. "Please, open the door! I need help!" He pounded on the door, harder. "You hear me? I need help!" I suddenly didn't feel so well. Was this the same stranger? It had to have been, for the repeated phrases, but why would he tell me not to let anyone in, even himself, then come right back to the door to ask for help? I made up my mind right then. No matter what, I'm not opening that door. I'd talk. I'd help if I could. But I would not open that door. "What's wrong?" I called out, rolling off of the futon. I stumbled and tripped on the blankets, falling to the floor with a heavy thud. "Are you okay?" the stranger asked. He sounded strained, like a long-time smoker without his fix. "I heard something. Hello? I'm lost." I groaned and stood up. "What were you doing hiking in the blizzard anyway?" "I'll tell you whatever you want to know, but please just let me in first. I'm freezing to death out here." I walked to the door and looked through the peephole. All I could see was white. There was an ornate half-circle window at the top of the door. I stood on my tiptoes to look through it, but all I could see of the stranger was a dark silhouette. A mittened hand, curled into a fist, appeared at the window and knocked again. "You know why I'm not just opening the door, right?" I asked the stranger. "Yes, because I'm a stranger!" the man yelled, his voice getting caught in the raging winds outside. "But you know about the blizzard, too. I'm not making that up, and I just need a little shelter. Please!" "I can't. I'm sorry." "You'd rather me die?" he asked. My name is Jacob," he shouted, his voice trembling and cold in fear. "Jacob Nelson. I don't have any kids or a wife, but I love my dog. I want to go back home to my dog." He banged on the door again. "Please!" "You came by earlier and said not to open this door for anyone, including yourself." There was silence for a moment. "What?" Jacob said. "You came by," I repeated. "You came by like 5 minutes ago, and you said not to open the door for anyone, no matter what, even you, and now you're back begging to be let in." "That doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? I must have been delirious from the cold or something, but please." "Listen," I said, feeling panic and shame welling up in my gut. "Find another way for me to help you, and I will, but I'm not opening the door." "Can you leave things on the porch?" Jacob asked. "Please, like something hot, a blanket, or stuff for a fire, or something to drink?" "I'd have to open the door," I said. I can walk away," Jacob shouted. "I'll walk away. You leave them on the steps. I'll count to 30 and come back and get them, and I won't bother you anymore." I thought about it. "What kind of things do you need?" I asked. "What do you have? I'll take anything." I looked around the room. I had a small collection of kindling, a lighter, some thick blankets, and a thermos. I have a blanket, I said, and some kindling and wood. You can borrow my lighter, but I only have one. That works, the man said. Do you have anything hot to drink? I have a thermos with coffee and tea, I said, but they're cold. Light a fire and heat some up for me, please? As long as it keeps me alive, that's all I need. I don't care that you're too scared to let me in. It makes sense. I get it. I do the same thing, but please just help me not die out here. All right, I said. Give me a few minutes to start a fire in here first. I'll give you the lighter after it's going. Okay, the man said. Can you tell me about yourself while you work? I'm getting tired and it's scaring me. Just make light talk or something. Just keep me awake. Like what? I asked, feeling frantic. I felt like the longer it took for me to get my fireplace lit, the more his death would be on my hands. I started shaking while I tried to set the fire up with kindling and logs. Do you have a dog? No, I'm not really an animal person. There was a harsh laugh outside. Not an animal person? That's crazy. Man, I love my dog more than anything. I couldn't imagine just not being a person who likes animals. You must like people, then. You got a spouse or friends out here with you? Not this time, I said, but after the words left my lips, I realized I just told Jacob I was alone. They're waiting for me, I corrected, scrambling for words that might sound true. I came out here to do some soul searching, told them I'd be back tomorrow, having made up my mind about some things. Like what? Jacob asked. I don't want to talk about that, I said. What about you? What's your dog like? Beagle, Cocker Spaniel mix, Jacob said. Cutest damn thing you've ever seen. Big floppy ears, light bulb-shaped head. When they're puppies, their paws are just way too big for their body. It's adorable. They have to grow into them. His name's Ridley. As in Scott? I asked. As in the dragon from Super Metroid. He's a space pirate, I said without thinking. You played Super Metroid? I like that game too. What about it was your favorite part? I never beat it, I admitted, as some of the kindling finally caught fire. It's a shame, man, Jacob said. It's great. One of the all-time greatest. You play any other games? I'm a Nintendo fan. I didn't bring anything with me, I said, and I played it on the Nintendo Virtual Console, never played the original. The man outside laughed. Never mind, I don't want inside after all. I smiled, even though I felt uncomfortable. I was joking, Jacob said after a moment. I was trying to make you laugh, but I really do want inside still. And I'm not letting you, I said. I'm sorry, but I almost have a fire ready, and then I can give you my lighter. I don't know how to make a fire, Jacob said. Can you tell me? I don't know how to do it in the snow, I lied. I was feeling uncomfortable at how desperate the man was. I could understand why, but at the same time I had a nagging feeling he was probing me for weaknesses. Oh, Jacob said. That makes sense, I guess. So you don't live out here? What do you mean? You're not from here, right? I mean, I figured if you lived near here, you'd know how to make a fire in the snow. It's almost a necessity. You don't know either. Because I'm not from here. I was just visiting, just wanted to go on a nice hike. Didn't check the weather. Got damn lucky I saw your lights on from out in the blizzard. Where are you from? Atlanta. Long way south. Came here to see the snow. Been seeing too much of it. The logs began to light in the fireplace. I poured water from the sink into my fireproof kettle and set it next to the fire. I have a fire going, I said, and water heating up by it. You can go now. I'll just lay your stuff outside. How far do I go? The man asked. What? How far do I go? He asked again. I don't want to lose sight of the house, but I want to go far enough away that you aren't scared of me being here. I'm not scared of you, I said. I'm cautious of you. I'm sorry, I know it doesn't matter to you, but there is a difference to me. Oh, well, Jacob mumbled just loud enough to be heard. As long as you're comfortable. Do you want this stuff or not? Sorry, I'm walking away now. Just count to 10. Leave the stuff there, and then I'll count to 20 and come back. I leaned against the door and heard footsteps squeaking in the dry snow as he traversed it. I counted to 10 and unlocked the door. I opened it, barely a crack, and it tried to burst in on me. For a moment I thought Jacob had come back, but it was just the strength of the wind. I leaned against it and pushed the blanket bundle through the crack. When it was sitting outside, I shut the door and locked it once again. I counted to 10, waiting for Jacob to come back. But he didn't. Had he gotten lost out there in under a minute? The blizzard had gotten pretty bad if it could blow the door open like it had a moment ago. Or was he waiting out there, somewhere, for me to lower my guard so he could get in?
"Thanks for letting me in,"
someone said from directly behind me. I spun around in a panic, but no one was there. There was a knock on the door in the same pattern as before. "Hello? If anyone's in there!" It was Jacob, his panic-stricken voice yelling through the door in the exact same cadence and tone as last time. "Please, open the door! I need help!" He pounded on the door, harder, just like last time. "You hear me? I need help!" "Jacob?" I asked. How did you know my name?" "You were here twice already. I left a bundle outside for you." "There's nothing out here." I looked around the cabin. I was missing my lighter, a blanket, kindling, and some wood. There was still snow on the floor in front of the door where the wind had blown some just moments ago. "I don't know what to tell you, Jacob, but I left you things out there just a few seconds ago. I can't give you anything else." "There's nothing out here," the man shouted. "Please, you don't have anything. Anything at all. What about something hot to drink?" "I can make you some hot coffee," I said, "but that's it. I wish I could help you more, but I promise you I just left a bundle out there and it was all the things I could afford to lose. I don't have anything else." "That's fine," Jacob said. "Just talk to me for a bit." "To keep you awake because you're tired?" I asked. "That obvious?" Jacob asked back. "It must be getting bad if you could tell from in there." "No, it's just what you said to me last time." "And did you tell me about yourself?" "Yes." "Can you tell me again?" I hesitated. Was any of this really happening? I collected the kettle from the fire and poured some into a disposable travel cup. I scooped instant coffee into the cup, stirred it with a spoon, and put a lid on. I walked to the front door, but didn't open it. "Do you like music?" Jacob asked. "I do. I like old 70s rock. I'm 65, was a pretty impressionable age when I first listened." "Pop punk," I said. I was listening to Blink-182 in my teens. "It's in the 90s, yeah. So you're what, 40? I laughed and took a step closer to the door. 30. Well, 31. I grew up on a lag with my music, but yeah, that's what I grew up on. "I don't think I've heard much of their music." "I have your coffee." There was a sigh of relief. "How do I get it?" "Same as last time. Step away, count, come back." "What happened to me last time?" "I don't know," I admitted. "So far as I can tell, you just disappeared, came back, and didn't have any memory of the last times we met." "Let's try again," he suggested. "Go ahead." I heard the crunch of dry snow underfoot as Jacob walked away. I counted to 10 and opened the door again. This time I braced myself against it. I opened it slowly and saw a snow-dusted bundle at the front of the door. It was the blanket. I put the cup of coffee down and looked out into the storm. I couldn't see Jacob anywhere. Did I have time? I pulled the bundle open and fished inside. I looked up again and saw a silhouette in the storm. It was humanoid, but stood at least 8 feet tall. It looked like its head was crowned with antlers and its arms and legs were thicker than a normal man's. I felt the lighter in the bundle, grabbed it, and pushed the door shut just as the silhouette advanced. I locked the door.
"Just a little more,"
someone whispered behind me again. I spun once more but saw nothing.
"A little at a time,"
it whispered. I spun again, starting to get dizzy, but there was no one else inside the building. There was a knock on the door in the same pattern as before. "Hello? If anyone's in there!" It was Jacob, his panic-stricken voice yelling through the door in the exact same cadence and tone as last time. "Please, open the door! I need help!" He pounded on the door, harder, just like last time. "You hear me? I need help!" "Stop it!" I shouted. "This is the 4th time you've come by, Jacob. There's a bundle out there for you and a cup of coffee. That's all you get. Please, just go away." "How do you know who I am?" Jacob asked. "I told you, and I'm getting sick of repeating it. You came by, asked for help, I leave you something outside, you run away and come back with no memory and claiming the stuff isn't out there. It's getting old." "But there's nothing out here." "I know!" I shouted, "because I put it there, and you're there now." "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you angry. I just need a little help." "And I can't give it to you." I took a few shaking breaths. "Can I stay here?" Jacob asked. "Just sleep on the porch. I won't ask for anything. Just let me sit here, please, so they can find my body after the storm." I sighed. "You want me to be totally honest with you?" I asked. "I did drugs, hard drugs, right before you showed up. I'm not sure you're even really you anymore, and I can't trust myself enough to let you in." "I do drugs," the guy said with a hint of a joking tone. "Let me in. We can both be confused together." "I don't even know what drug it is," I admitted. "Just something. Something so that I don't have to feel anymore." "What happened?" I sat down, resting my back against the front door with a deep sigh. "I killed someone, I think. He's in the hospital." There was a pause from the other side of the door before a gentle, "How did it happen?" "I told him I'd be there for him, and I blew him off." "Did he?" "Did it to himself, yeah. No one was there for him." "Why'd you blow him off?" I rubbed at my temples. "A girl. Some girl flirted with me. I thought I had a chance. I told him I'd be there in 10 minutes and spent the next 2 hours just talking to this girl, all for her to end the conversation with, 'I have a boyfriend.' I went to check up on my friend, and there was an ambulance at his house." "Is he going to make it?" "I don't know." There was a heavy silence between the two of us. For a moment, I wondered if Jacob had disappeared again, but it didn't fit the pattern. He would need to ask me for something. I'd open the door, I'd hear a terrifying whisper, then he'd be back. Isn't that how it went? "What was her name?" Jacob asked. "The girl? Why?" "I don't know." I snorted. "I barely remember." "You remember," he said. "You'll never forget it." I wanted to argue, but he was right. I just let the anger at his observation stew before it dissipated, and I answered. "Kiki." "That's really her name?" I laughed. "Yeah, that's part of the reason she caught my attention. Kiki at the All Hours Cafe. I guess I should have known it was just her job to talk me up, make me feel special so I'd come back." "It's hard to tell. I don't blame you. Besides, isn't it nice to wonder if you're wanted? To feel wanted even if it's not real?" "I'd rather have something real. It was kind of nice talking to her, but I just wish it hadn't been so flirty. By the time she told me she was taken, I wasn't interested in making another friend." "How do you know she was flirting?" I shook my head. "Doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about her anymore." Outside was the sound of shuffling, snow being shifted, fabric rustling against fabric. "Hey," Jacob said, "I think I found the blanket." I laughed. "Did you sit on it the whole time or something? It's kind of hard to miss." "I don't know. I just found it. There's wood, kindling, but no lighter." "I have that in here with me." "Can you leave it out here? I'll walk away and come back." "You'll forget everything again. You always do." "Please." I sighed. "Fine, Jacob, but do me a favor this time." "Anything." "Take the bundle with you. You come back and can't find it. Just take it with you so you'll still have it when you come back." "All right, I'm going now." I heard more rustling, a grunt of effort, and footfalls retreating. I looked at my fire. It was starting to die, but I could always just heap more wood onto it. I opened the door just a crack and looked outside. The bundle was still there, next to the cup of cold coffee. I growled in frustration, but stuffed the lighter into the bundle. Just before I shut the door, a strong gust of wind burst around the corners. It slithered inside on strong tendrils and reached for the fire, putting it out with a puff and a flurry of snowflakes. I looked outside. The same figure as before, the one with the crown of antlers, was back. He was much closer this time, and he started walking my direction. I pushed the door shut in a frenzy and locked it. The fire could wait until Jacob was done with the next loop.
The next will be the last,
the whisper said. I didn't turn around this time.
Now you come to beg for your own salvation.
There was a knock on the door in the same pattern as before. Hello? If anyone's in there! It was Jacob, his panic-stricken voice yelling through the door in the exact same cadence and tone as last time. Please, open the door! I need help! He pounded on the door, harder, just like last time. You hear me? I need help! Hey, Jacob, I said. Nice to see you again. Check the porch, thoroughly. There should be a bundle out there for you. How do you know your name? I interrupted. Long story. You can't come in. But if you search really hard, there's a bundle out there for you. It has the stuff to make a fire. Light one and give me my lighter back. I'm confused, Jacob said. I know you are, I told him, but you're just a hallucination of a drug-addled mind. What does that make you? Jacob asked the question with weight behind it, with the silent daring to think about the question for longer than a moment. The guy who isn't letting you in, I said. What about your dog? Jacob asked. Ripley. Ridley, I corrected, from Metroid. Yeah, that one, Jacob said, sounding cool and calm and collected. Tell me more about it. What breed was it and all that? What? It's your dog. A Beagle Cocker Spaniel mix. Light bulb head or something? I wouldn't know. I don't like animals. But you just told me... No! Jacob shouted. The room filled with a searing cold and the power went out. I told you so very little, and you've come here again and again begging me to open this door to you, never with any memory of having done it before, and I'm tired of it. I felt cold and distant. That's me, I know, Jacob said. You tell me that every time, as if I have no idea who I am. I'm Zachary. I came out here to do drugs and forget my mistakes with Kiki. You're Jacob. You came here to test my patience and make me think I'm going insane. That's not it at all, I said. I'm Zachary. You're Jacob. What are you trying to do to me? I'm not going to be confused this easily. You already are, but you're just a hallucination of a drug-addled mind. Something overcame me, forced me to ask a question I didn't want to ask. So what does that make you? Something shifted. There was a change in the air. It felt more crisp and bitter. I felt colder. I looked around my little cabin, but I wasn't in it anymore. I was outside, just out the front door, huddled up against the wind and snow in my jacket and blue jeans. How did I get out here? How had I gone outside without noticing? Hey, I shouted, let me back in. No way, the man in my cabin said. I've told you a dozen times already, you're not getting in, and this was never your cabin. The more you insist that it is, the less I trust you, and the more I realize what it was a good idea to leave you out there. I stopped. I knew he was wrong, but what would happen if he decided not to let me back in? I would die out here. I would have to play along just to get him to open the door a little, then I could break in and take it all back. I'm sorry, I said. I'm just scared and confused. Do you have anything you can give me to help me out here? Maybe a blanket or something? I left you a bundle out there, Jacob snapped. You never see it. I looked around the front porch. There was nothing there. I got it, I lied. I found it, sorry, but there's no lighter. Because there's no bundle, Jacob said through a hearty chuckle. I wonder what it is you found out there. Maybe yourself. Did you find Kiki? Did you find your friend? Or maybe you lied and there was nothing there the whole time. My blood ran cold while I felt my fingers and toes beginning to go numb. My throat ached breathing in the cold air. What do you want? I asked. What is it you want from me? Ask yourself, Jacob said. After all, we're both just hallucinations of a drug-addled mind, but doesn't that make you wonder? I didn't want to think about it, but he said it anyway. Who's the dreamer? Anything, I whimpered. Anything to help me understand. I don't understand. You can't. But if you walk away, count to 10, and come back, I'll leave the answer for you on the porch. Go on now. Leave. I'm watching. I stood and steeled my insides. I stomped in the snow, heavy, then lighter and lighter. I counted to 10 and prepared myself to ram into the door the moment I heard him undo the lock. It never came. Instead, Jacob laughed. You have to actually leave, or it won't work. What won't work? You'll see, and you'll have your answers. I felt tears threatening to spill out. I knew I was screwed. I would die out here. I don't know what happened, but I had somehow, in a drug stupor, given my cabin to someone who would never give it back. I turned and walked away from the door. With each step, I choked back a sob, or one escaped my lips. I didn't let them take over. I counted to 10 and returned. There was a cabin. Help! From the snow and the blizzard. I stumbled up to the door and knocked in a pattern that felt familiar to me. Hello? If anyone's in there! My panic-stricken voice yelled through the door. Please, open the door! I need help! I pounded on the door harder. You hear me? I need help! Go away, Jacob, the man inside said. I felt a horror indescribable crawl its way up the back of my neck. I couldn't remember how I had even gotten out in the blizzard. I could barely remember anything besides my favorite songs, my dog, and my need for warmth. But the man in the cabin I'd never seen before, and the man who was a total stranger to me. He knew my name.